I've had sleep issues for as long as I can remember, but beginning roughly 4 months ago, I have gotten no more than 2 to 4 hours of segmented and broken sleep a night. I tried to muster my reserves of willpower to push through the exhaustion, but past a point my body began to fail and I could no longer function. I grew increasingly anxious and anhedonic, and watched as my cognition began to slowly deteriorate. I started to have trouble stringing together simple trains of thought, and became increasingly forgetful. Whole days would pass and I wouldn't be able to remember most of what occurred. I had a series of nervous breakdowns, including one at a Ringo Starr concert in Clearwater, Florida. Eventually, my condition got to a point where I began having delusions that people's coughs and sneezes were encoded messages, and cyclists were arranging themselves to try to get me to hit them with my car as I was driving. But the straw that broke the camel's back was when the development of the ballet of miserable people was impacted. I simply couldn't work on the game anymore because work sessions would be spent doing nothing but idly sitting there and staring at a design document for hours, as I would forget why I was there, what I was doing, what my name was, and when I was finished with the session, there would be no changes or progress made to the game at all. After getting no help from other doctors, I finally scheduled a visit with my psychiatrist, and I was prescribed Ambien and Lexapro, which I had taken once before and thought little of taking again. From the very first dose, I had intense side effects, large waves of exhaustion that were so bad I could hardly or just not be able to stand. There would be a growing pressure in my neck and my skull, and late at night after taking it for about 10 days, I began to derealize to an extent I never have before, which is a sensation that's very hard to describe if you haven't had that happen to you before. It felt like there was a growing distance between me and all my other sensations, and I was fading out of existence. I spent the night in a panic attack, pacing around my neighborhood into the early hours of the morning. The next day, I immediately stopped taking the Lexapro and waited for the side effects to subside, but they didn't. And the month that followed was one of the worst in my life. Picture being trapped in like a bad marijuana high every single hour of the day. My vision was constantly blurry and choppy, like someone lowered its frame rate and turned on motion blur. It felt like my thalamus was being beat with a hammer. And after about a week of thinking it's gonna go away any day now, the real fear set in, and an insincere, chemically induced terror took hold. Picture the time you were 13 years old and realized one day you would grow old and die. It's really bad existential fear that kind of reduced me to like a vegetable with chattering teeth and eyes without the light behind them. When I didn't have to go to work, I was forced to play Scout on Team Fortress 2 for 16 hours a day, like a person with akathisia is forced into constant movement. This activity did not particularly abate my symptoms, but if I stopped dropping medics for as much as a second, I would remember that I will be a decaying corpse in the ground by the end of the century. Today, it has been a fairly large amount of time since I have been off this Lexapro. I've improved some. I'm no longer trapped in a perpetual bad water match, but most of these side effects still remain, and my condition is still largely afraid and dysfunctional because of both my sleep and the poison I ingested. I visited many doctors, and I know I will get better eventually, but I don't know how long it will be until I am recovered enough from my ailments to be able to properly live life again. I want nothing more than to continue developing the ballet of miserable people, but the activity requires a greater degree of concentration and suffering than my body can give at this time. When it's finished, it will be my finest work so far, and I know you won't be able to help but smile as you play through it. It's impossible to describe the level of excitement I have for you to finally be able to see what I've been making. I want to thank both you for following this game's development, even though it's taking a while, and my friend Lewis, who has supported me greatly in good times and in bad. I love being human, and I will never ever die. Nothing bad has ever happened to me.